Coming off its three-phase Hexi expansion, you would think that Everstone Studio would slow down in preparation for Where Winds Meet's Imperial Palace. But no, not only is it launching sooner than expected, May 27th for the first phase, but it's jam-packed with new story content focused on Zhao Kuangyin, aka Big Zhao, a massive location with fresh activities and of course some stellar battles. We had the chance to go hands-on with Phase 1 and 2 of the expansion, with the latter out in early June, and really dig into everything on offer. Let's jump in, starting with the palace's size. While wandering around the Imperial Palace, one thing was constantly apparent. It's absolutely massive. As far as a palace-themed area goes in Where Winds Meet, it's currently the largest and second largest in the game as a whole, just behind Kaifeng City, measuring over 1 million square meters. There are over 3,000 non-playable characters, and about 300 provide real-time conversations. The sheer number of individuals contained within the space isn't immediately apparent, whether it was sneaking about on rooftops while scoping out guards or infiltrating the sealed treasures in pursuit of an assassin. Each location feels appropriately packed. Summer and winter settings. As beautiful as the Imperial Palace looks during the summertime, with its dancing petals and radiant air, it gains an altogether different aura during the winter. Snow blankets the buildings and streets while a chilly mist occupies the air. But more importantly, new activities become available, including skating around an ice rink and building giant snowmen, cricket fights, slap fights, and more. Of course, that's only a teaser for what the Imperial Palace has to offer in terms of side activities and minigames. You could try to sit on the Dragon Throne, which carries a pretty hefty punishment, more on that in a bit, mount up on a horse and engage in some archery challenges. Experiencing everything was a tall task, but we managed to take on some of the more bizarre activities, including cricket fighting, with the first step being the most obvious: finding and catching a cricket. You can then send them into a fight, as they unleash auto attacks until one is exhausted. It's much more in-depth than you'd think, with 8 stats for each cricket, unique abilities and types, and even active skills that the player can trigger. Then there's slap fighting, where you square off against an individual and attempt to unleash a flurry of blows while dodging their own attacks. One such scenario involved Huzhen, who was seemingly possessed by a ghost and needed to clear her mind with a few good smacks, with us as the unwitting target, of course. Crimes and punishments. At some points, you'll end up eavesdropping on officials to net some juicy gossip, or even transform into a tiger and wander about the Emperor's quarters, using that nose to sniff for clues. But while it seems all fun and games in the Imperial Palace, there are rules and regulations, along with consequences for not following them. For example, stealing anything results in a sticker on your face, while too much eavesdropping gives you fan ears. How, and why not permanently? Good question, but perhaps the most severe punishments are reserved for sitting on the throne or loitering around sensitive locations like the kitchen. However, while you'll be sent to prison and can attempt to escape, getting caught earns a spanking, further highlighting the sheer ridiculousness that wuxia can sometimes entail. Throne and Tempest. Then there's the side story, Throne and Tempest, which can last for about 3 hours across both of its parts. A massive location like the Imperial Palace has its share of conspiracies and backstabbing, which you get up into while conducting your own investigations. And what better way to do that than as Imperial guards in disguise? As you mingle and hit up the other guards for information, you'll have an unlikely reunion with Zhao Kuangyin, and even investigate the mysterious Phantom while learning more about Big Zhao. It's an intriguing side story packed with enough action-packed platforming, including one sequence where we had to scale the rooftops of the Governance Hall to catch someone. The Blackclad. The boss fights are always a highlight, and Where Winds Meet has been steadily raising the bar since launch. This is most apparent when fighting against the Blackclad, a friend of Big Zhao who fell out of contact with him, and has infiltrated the Imperial Palace to see if he's changed for better or worse. But first, you'll have to catch her, which involves using a horse-drawn wagon as an impromptu transport while fending off attacks from enemies, leaping onto rooftops, and dodging gunfire before finally catching up. Not that this was the end by a long shot, as there was still plenty of wall running and rooftop acrobatics before finally fighting in a courtyard surrounded by numerous guards. The first phase is as you'd expect, a tight melee where the Blackclad performs such superhuman feats as bouncing off her blade and unleashing slices in midair. It's not until the second phase that her true techniques are revealed. A flying sword, which weaves into her combos and a rain of swords blanketing an area. It's cinematic, visually stunning, and above all else, an outright blast to play. Dufu. However, the Blackclad pales in comparison to the second campaign boss, who arrives in Phase 2 of the Imperial Palace. Players face Big Zhao, but not the one you're familiar with. Instead, it's a so-called dark manifestation of his younger self, known as Dufu, a far cry from the jovial man that many know. His physical presence creates immense pressure, and it's a fantastic fight. You'll need to first deal with attacks from his dragon pattern staff, finding ways to get around its extensive range, and just when it seems like you've survived that onslaught, Dufu does the next logical thing. He throws down bare hands in a knockdown, drag-out brawl. Compared to the Blackclad's more elegant fighting style and cinematic backdrop, this fight is more smash-mouth and brutal. World Boss, Cat Emperor. But that's not all, because an even bigger threat looms in the Imperial Palace, one that's only accessible after completing fishing quests. We're of course talking about one of the 2 new world bosses in Phase 1, the Cat Emperor. It may be incredibly fluffy and seemingly harmless, but don't let that fool you, as it wields a giant fish and some heavy-handed strikes, not to mention its rotund belly. To say this is an unorthodox fight would be an understatement, and it only further underscores Palace's theme of playfulness intertwined with order. World Boss, Gilded Lament. Then you have the Gilded Lament, the second world boss who seemingly exists in a different realm within the palace's walls. She's seemingly had a rough time, as evident by the sheer amount of poetry across reams of paper, including 2 scrolls used as weapons. Perhaps most enticing is her fighting style. Between unleashing energy projectiles, she'll disappear and materialize in an almost dancing-like manner to unleash some heavy blows. At one point, Gilded Lament turns into an energy ball, and you need to dodge the area of effect damage. It's intriguingly surreal, and we can't wait to delve more into the lore behind her presence. Impressions. It'd be easy to dismiss the Imperial Palace as more where winds meet content, especially for those who are already hooked. And coming off the Hexi expansion with its sheer variety of gorgeous vistas, the palace grounds may sometimes feel a little too samey at times. Nevertheless, it sticks to the base game's fundamentals admirably, presenting an interesting storyline, some truly insane activities that look like a blast, and a sense of style that's as wuxia as can be. That's on top of the stellar boss fights, each bringing something unique to the table, both in fun and challenge. Time will tell where Big Zhao's storyline ultimately ends up, but as always, we're keen to go with the flow and look damn stylish in the process. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.